Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Medium's Table. I'm your host, Michelle Gardner. This podcast is your personal invitation to join me at the intersection of the everyday and the extraordinary. Together, we'll explore the magic of mediumship, share spiritual stories, and connect with fellow mediums on this incredible journey. So grab a seat, pour yourself a cuppa, and come join us at the Medium's Table, where spirits gather and stories unfold. Disclaimer, just a heads up to all our lovely followers. Our social media is a space where we share personal stories, including those of various mediums. Let's keep the vibe positive and respect each other's beliefs. Every journey is unique, and here we celebrate the diversity of experiences. I'd like to welcome to the show an amazing woman. Now, Debbie, I haven't seen you. I haven't actually worked with you, but I've seen you around a lot on social media. And
Yes.
so Debbie Charlton is with us today, and I am so pleased to have her here because I have heard so much about you. Now, let me just get this right. I've had to write this down because this is long. You're a trance healing medium and tutor. Have I got everything
Yes.
right?
You have, my dear. Thank you. And it's lovely to be here.
Now, I do believe that my sister spoke quite a bit about you and very highly in her previous interview. And it was like, okay, I have to have this woman on the show. I have to get me her details. Get me her details.
Bring it on.
Exactly. But I have seen you over the years in other groups. So I'm familiar with, and I'm very, I just want to let the audience know, I am actually very choosy who I, have on the show, which guests I have. And as soon as, my sister just raves about you, and I'm like, I have to have this woman on because I'm familiar as well with your, with your morals and ethics, with your integrity and the work that you do. And so, this is why I'm like, nah, she has to be here. This is a have to. So welcome to the show, Debbie. That was a long introduction.
It's lovely to be here. It's lovely to come and sit with you and just come and share myself with you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And, what I like to do in the first episode when I bring someone on is I love to hear how all this came about. Like, where and how did you get to where you are today?
Sometimes I wonder that myself, Michelle. It's like when you don't have a plan, but they have a plan for you.
That's true. That's true. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, my story. Will we start with my story then?
Definitely. It's a good starting point.
Good. It is, and it's a lovely story. I always look back at my life and I think, I'm in awe of the people that were in my life that took me on this beautiful journey, and that's what I call it. We are all in our journey, and it's the people that we have around us that enrich that journey, but teaches us so much lessons. And I was blessed, and I don't use that word lightly, I mean extremely blessed by the parents, grandparents that I had in my life, starting from a young age. My father was my tutor. He was the one that taught me all these beautiful lessons and nurtured me spiritually as a child up into adulthood. And then I had my mother, who was my grounding. She kept my feet on the ground. And this, when I look back now, I can see the beautiful balance. And this is what we have in life. We have the balance spiritually and physically. So physically, the physical body, spiritually, the mind, the expansion of self, And as I said, I was blessed from a very, very young age. I was a very extremely sensitive child, very, very sensitive. And sometimes I would have looked at that as being, oh gosh, why do I need to be like this? But then I realised the beautiful gift of how we tune in through that sensitivity. And this is what's beautiful. So yeah, from an early age, my father walked this path with me until he passed to spirit. He taught me about how we connect with spirit. through the breath. The breath is the most important thing. The breath takes us into an experience and also takes us out. It takes us into the beautiful alignment within. So, my early age, it was a very subtleness of how Father would have connected. Would have connected through nature. He taught me about nature. He talked to me about the presence of the earth, our presence on earth, and the learning. He taught me about the many lessons that would come forward for us. Sometimes we're not even aware of it, but it teaches us to be aware, and it's the awareness. It's awareness of everything around us, but keeping ourselves centered. And and I was really blessed with that. He nurtured me. He nurtured my spirit. He nurtured my soul right through his life. He took time out for us. There was 4 of us in the family. I have 2 brothers and a sister, and I just remember the amount of times that we would have spent time not only in the beach but actually in the forest. And the things he would sit with us and he would explain, even about the streams, about the water, the preciousness of the water, of the streams, the purity of the water, being in touch with the energy. So he used to talk to me about energy. Now, a lot of the things he said to me didn't make sense to me at the time, but he was planting that seed within me. So as that I would, in time, that seed would blossom when the time was right. Many times I would ask my father questions, and I would maybe even say things like, Dad, nothing's happening. Why is nothing happening? And he would say to me, think about yourself in a corridor and you have all these doors, all these doors closed. He says, you're waiting for your door to open. These other doors aren't for you. You're waiting for your door to open. And so this was my way of noticing that when we are feeling nothing's happening, as he used to say, there's so much more that's happening behind the scenes. And what you're learning there is trust. You're learning to sit within the silence of self and wait for the time for you to move forward. He also taught me the importance of healing. He taught me the importance of self-love. We have to love ourselves. If we don't love ourselves, how can we share that love with others? Because if we're taking experiences, so we go through traumas, things like that, we take those experiences, and if we don't allow ourselves to connect to those traumas, to allow ourselves to deal with them, to let that vibration move through us, there's no growth then. We stay stuck in that moment. So it's the importance of living in the moment, but allowing yourself to heal. There's no such time in healing as in healing should be done in a certain time. It's allowing yourself to feel the experience, to allow that experience, no matter how painful, because that's our greatest lessons. Our greatest lessons is what we experience. So this is where my nurturing came from, right from an early age. My grandmother as well on my mother's side, the most beautifulest woman, kindest, purest heart you will ever have noticed. My granny, she was just beautiful. And she taught me what selflessness was. She taught me what kindness was, compassion. Her heart was so full that she had a hard life. That's the thing. It wasn't an easy life. She had an awful time. But yet the purest of her heart, she was so giving. And there was 9 of us grandkids, but she made every single one of us feel special. So, so special. You would walk into the room and her light would just shine. You could feel it when you walk. She just had to smile at you and you would feel the warmth and the love and the connection from that. So in a sense, yeah, my journey was, we had a hard life, but we had a life full of love. We had a life full of teaching. We had a journey was full of enrichment. So that then gave me this strong foundation that I now walk forward with, And that's where it comes to my earlier years of enrichment. And that sort of takes me up to when my father passed his spirit in 2009. For 2 years, I shut down. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No, and what that taught me is there is no time scale on grief. You have to honour yourself, first and foremost. You have to honour yourself. You have to allow yourself to sit and go through each stages of grief. And honour those stages of grief. Allow yourself to experience them. Because when you come out, well, could say the other side, you've learned another lesson. You have learned this most beautiful lesson. And what is that? How you can hold space for another. It's going through. We will never understand unless we experience. And when we experience, every single experience that we go through enriches us to be able to save and hold space for another. This is what life is about. We are all in service. We come here to learn the lessons that have been brought forward to enrich us. And what is the point? So that we can stay authentic. That is the point. You cannot reach another person if you're not authentic. And this is what life is about. Life is about being there for someone else, no matter what, without judgment. And how hard is that not to judge another because of maybe what you've experienced? Our life shapes us. Every experience you go through shapes you. But if you let it pull you down and become hardened through those lessons, I'll tell you now, those lessons will keep coming back to you. Will keep coming back to you until you allow yourself to face this lesson. And that's where my heart is, of reaching those that are struggling to find themselves because they may be caught up in conditions through their life, what they're made to believe. I don't teach them to believe what I believe. I teach them to find themselves. And that's where another story will come, and I will explain about how I became what we call this tutor. And tutor is just someone that stands and holds a space for another so that they can find themselves, find the lessons within yourself, you know.
That's so powerful, Debbie. So powerful. Oh, and what a great starting point for so many people who are either on this journey already or wanting to step into this journey. Incredible. Yeah.
It is. And you know, the thing is, we all have guides. We all have helpers. We all have those beautiful friends in spirit that are there with us. But sometimes we choose to, no, we're so much in our mind that we don't allow ourselves to feel. We don't allow ourselves to experience. We don't listen. We doubt. We don't trust. We don't surrender. And bringing you now to an early stage in my life, I've always known that there was someone there. I always knew just as a child the sensation, the feelings I would get. And I would see spirit. I've seen spirit physically from a young age, really young age. But in the beginning, and I'll be honest, it terrified me. Absolutely terrified me. And although I come back to the fact, yes, my father was my teacher. But at the time, I didn't even tell my father what I was seeing because I didn't know as a child. I'm talking about 4-year-olds. I didn't know what I was seeing. I didn't know the difference between seeing someone physically or seeing spirit. You know?
Yeah.
And it was. And I remember things that would have happened in a house that we were in. And some people would call it that house, haunted house. Yeah, well, I would say it was a very active house. You know, but it was because I was sensitive and I was tuning into what was so we're tuning into the frequency of what was there at that time. So the spirit energy, the residue energy that was in that house, I was tuning into it. So I was seeing what was in the past within the house, okay? But at the time, it's like, you can't tell whether what I'm seeing, is this physically real, or is it, is it spirit? It was hard to tell. Seeing maybe a woman in my room, but thinking, is somebody in my room, or is this spirit? And as a young child, you don't know that. But my first experience of my main guide, and his name is Yusuf, Chief Joseph, but when I hear him call me his name, it sounds Yusuf, so that's his name. I was blessed to see him physically as a young child. Not only myself, but my younger brother. I was about 4 and Derek was about 2.5, my younger brother. And we were in the garden at the side of the house, and there's a path just at the side. And when you look out from the path, there was the school. Our school was directly in front in a park. And right at the top of the park was the gate into the park. And I never forget it. I can still see it as clear as day, and I'm 60 now, so it was a lot. You think about how long ago that was. That image is as clear in my mind now as it was then. And I could see him as a young warrior, and he was sitting on this horse, and I could see the very feather he has this feather that sticks out of the thing, and I could just see him in, I know he was bare legged, I always remember that, but there was something that covered him here and across the bottom, and it was just the power of that image. And I just remember standing, and he was just looking at me, no words or nothing, because there was a distance between us, and he was just on this horse staring at me, and I was just transfixed watching this image. And it was like, I don't remember saying anything about that. But years later, about 20 years, just past there, just about 20 years ago, I remember being in the house. My mum's overseeing mum, and my brother was in the house. And we into the conversation of spirit. And I says, well, I remember seeing spirit. And I'd never had this conversation with Derek because he was so young at the time. And he went, I remember that, Debbie. I remember that. So he was with me, the both of us were in the garden. And the gate was locked. We couldn't get out, but I was like looking down at the side, and I could see him as clear as day. So that was him coming and showing me, I'm here for you, because it was quite a traumatic time for me because I was so sensitive. So I was seeing a lot, hearing a lot. But through time, I learned to discipline myself. So my fear then started to block. So what eventually happened is I learned to work with spirit from a young age, not realising that I was working with spirit. And says, I don't like this. I don't like to see them like this. So it changed. And I used to see spirit just as energy. So I would see you, to say, if I'm seeing you now, you were spirit, I would just see as your light. But I could tell you exactly what your hair looked like. I could tell you that the type of top you had on. I could describe the top. I just couldn't see the colour. And that made me more relaxed, made me more accepting, So it sort of went on from there. So that was my very early experience of Yusuf. And then, as I said, I would say probably when I was about maybe 10, maybe 9 or 10, that's when my dad started working with me. He was seeing, because my father, he was an extremely, absolutely amazing medium. But he was behind closed doors. My dad wasn't this big man that went out and, I can do this. No, my father was a very humble man, extremely humble man, and absolutely amazing healer. Oh my gosh. I can understand my love of everything comes back to healing because of what he's taught me. And all I remember as a young child is the amount of people that came to our house, not for readings, no, but to be, my mother and my father were so giving, and it would seem to be all the people that were struggling came to our house. And I just remember that, the children that would come to our house. And my grandmother would come and stay with us. The grandmother I was talking about, she came and stayed with us 6 months of the year, and then the other 6 months she would stay with my mum's sisters, so she spent the time between the families. But I always remember in the summer, our house was always full, and no matter what time of the, there was always children there, and she used to make these big pies, and my grandmother was psychic as well, so you can just see that all this nurturing, it was like overload, but it was in the most beautifulest way. And she would, she was crippled, she had a club foot. She was walking with her wee sticks or her Zimmer, even from a young age. It was her brother taught her to read and write because she couldn't go to school because at that time, going back that time. But it was like, to give you the essence of the story of her and my father as well. My father's mother died 3 weeks after my dad was born. So he was left with his grandparents.
Yeah.
So he never knew what it meant to have family in that sense, like his mother and father. And there was another story behind that, very heartbreaking story with regards to his mother. But my grandmother, although that was her son-in-law, but this was her son, she lost a son, so my father really took that place. And the bond between the two of them was absolutely beautiful. So she was this nurturing as well of all the children that came, and she'd make these big pies, and I just remember in the afternoons, and all the children used to come, and everybody in the town called her Nana Jones. Everybody. So there was just this beautiful spirit. Her spirit also had such a major impact, and that's why I wanted to bring that in. Such a major impact. But psychically, she also taught me, she taught me to read things through the energy of others as well. And that's something that I learned as a young age. My friends, I was reading the energy of them. So it's like, and what do I mean by that? So if I would say, how are you feeling today? And they were like, I'm okay. No, how are you feeling today? Because I could feel the energy was off. So she taught me that side as well. So I had that taught from that side, and then from the much more physical stuff, my father, So it was beautiful in that sense. But that then took me on to, as I say, my father started really working with us, and he would talk to us about the breath, the importance of the breath, and how the breath, and really feeling the breath, and how the breath will change, and how we learn to flow with the breath to take us into the experience. And what I always found as well, through my teachings, I always say to everyone, find your own breath. Find the rhythm of your own breath first. If you can find the rhythm of your own breath and sit within the silence of the connection of the breath will take you where you need to go. You don't have to do anything. But this is what we call the surrender and the letting go. Through that, you will experience this beautiful expansion that you can't explain. You can't explain. And I remember, I'll give you an example. I remember working with a client, a good few years ago now. And I'd been working with him for about maybe 6 months or so. And he says, Debbie, can I ask you something? He says, what do you think about these psychedelic, drugs for hallucinogenics for taking you in? And my words to him was, why would you need to use a substance when you can do it yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
I says, is it not better that you experience it and you work on it so that you enhance that experience, that you can go to that place yourself without the aid of something else? I says, now that's my opinion. You have to find your way. And that's what I say to everybody. I'll come and I'll give you the advice, but you have to find your way. And this is what the journey is about. And that's what I found. It's like, Dad, I remember saying to Dad, he was the most gifted medium. And so was my sister as well. My sister, she's an absolute amazing medium as well. But it's the same again. She does things quietly in the background. It's like I don't do readings. I don't do because it would drain my energy. It's not what I'm here for. I'm here for healings. I'm here for teaching. This is where I was put. This is what my purpose is, and I know that now. It's helping people find themselves, not find me, but find themselves.
Yeah.
It's so important because it's like you will have a completely different way of working than what I do. So I'll give you the tools to find where you connect so that you can then start to unwrap these beautiful parcels that's within you.
Yeah.
Discover it, discover you. You're discovering you. You're discovering you from everything else stripped away,
Yeah.
And that sort of leads me into the beautiful gift that I had with Dad. I mean, like he taught me to see energy in the dark. Something as simple as that. How do you see energy in the dark? And he used to talk about, well, what you're seeing isn't real. But what do you mean what I'm seeing isn't real? And then looking at it in a much more scientific way as well. He would look at it from both sides. So that's where I was up until 2009. And when he passed his spirit in 2009, I just felt as if my world really had collapsed. But now I understand now that I needed that to take time for me. And a lot of people don't realise that, see, when we're actually in the depths of our despair, that's when spirit are working with you at the closest. That's when they're holding you.
Yeah.
They're guiding you. But you think about it, you become so subdued. And when we're subdued, we're actually more open to receive. And that's for the healing. So think about how the healing. And that's the one thing I love. I work in our local church here, and something that'll go on in another story. It's another beautiful story. But I just want to bring you how healing works in a sense, right? We talk about the different stages of grief. And I'm a qualified healer, and I work in our church, our local spiritual church. And you have someone comes into you, okay, they've lost a loved one. And when that person sits in front of you, and it's like when I look into the eyes, it's like the light has become so dim. We all have this beautiful light within us, and the light has become so dim. So that first of that stage of that healing, as we sit and we just hold that space for them to be able to release, whether it's emotion, maybe they want to talk, or maybe they just want to sit within the healing that's been sent. And remember, you are your own healer. I don't heal you. You are your own healer. All I'm doing is holding that space for you to surrender this pain. And when you see someone coming in week after week, and you just start to see that flicker, you start to feel the heart becoming warm again. Each time they come, you see this beautiful growth. There's nothing more beautiful, honestly, when you can see that light coming back into their eyes. And I'll also say the same for death. I was with my father right until he passed. I was healing Dad in the sense of holding the space for him for transitioning, and I knew that. But one gift I want to share with you, because I still think back on it. We had this young girl that used to come to the church, terminally ill, only in her 30s. And I sat with that girl week in and week out. And we used to laugh the whole time she was there. We used to laugh. It wasn't doom and gloom. It was just, we used to just share this. So what have you been up to this week? And there's this lightness in it, okay? So I always feel that either the right people are sent to you, or you're sent to the right people, okay? The last time I seen that lady, I thought I'd missed her because I'd come in later. And that she'd gone out, and then she'd come back in, and I was going down to the bottom of the church for the next client. And I says, "Oh, I thought you'd gone." She said, "No, I was waiting for you, Debbie. I was waiting for you." And I says, "Oh, that's great. Come on, we'll go and we'll find a wee space and we'll tuck ourselves away somewhere." Joking with it, keeping it light-hearted. I'll never forget this as long as I live, but I was behind her. I had my hands on her back. And I went into this beautiful place. It's like Spirit was showing me where she was going. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I can't describe it to you because there's no words to describe it. But all I can say is and I would never turn around and say to someone, "Oh, I know where you're going." But when I come back round, and as soon as I come back round and I was in front of her, she opened her eyes and I took her hands. And my words was, "Where you're going is beyond beautiful."
Oh.
But to feel that, and she went, "Really, Debbie, really?" Because I was just so full of what I experienced. And to share that. And she died a few days later.
Oh, no. I'm welling up just listening to your story.
I know, but it's like it takes me back. That's what enriches me, and that's why everything that I do is sacred to me. Everything that I do is sacred, and that's what I teach. That's what I teach her. This journey is sacred to us.
Yeah. Oh, I've got to wipe my tears.
Why do you think I keep hankies?
Oh, jeez. Oh. But I can feel that from you. Like I can feel your story. It's, it's like I don't need to be there because I can feel that energy, and I really hope the audience, when you're listening, you can feel that essence as well. That's just, oh wow. What an experience.
Do you know what I say as well? It's like, so the words were the healing.
Yeah.
The words were the healing, because I can say something to you and you think, "Oh yeah, it's nice, Debbie," but if I say something to you and you feel it, what is happening is we are feeling the emotional healing that was taking place at that time. There is no such a thing as time, so we're taken back to that stage, and you are feeling what I was feeling and what she was feeling.
Yeah.
And that's the gift. That's the gift. This is why. So I was able to hold that space for her unconditionally.
Yeah.
Not thinking about it, just being there and being present with her.
Yeah.
And that's the healing. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So take a breath. Oh, look.
We're better, honestly.
Thank goodness. Let me just... Anyway, my makeup's probably halfway down my cheeks, but that's okay.
Oh, honestly, it's I just think that, and then you can understand, Michelle, when I say I'm blessed. You can understand it. I mean, I'm not just, nothing's ever superficial. It's deep rooted, and that's what I mean by it's not a fluffy journey. It's an emotional roller coaster. This is where our learning has to be like that. And then I want to also share with you, and let me see now, 2001. It was before that. In 2000, no, this is time scales are terrible with me. So I want to take you then about how my second guide came, and what was my introduction to that. After I had my second daughter in 2003, I I would have been 38 at the time, okay? And by the time I was 40, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and I was told I was going to be in a wheelchair by the time I was 40. So after her, it started. I believe that was connected to, prior to that, I lost a baby. Lucy was born, sort of like when the baby would have been due in the February. I fell pretty quickly after a miscarriage, and Lucy was born in the July. So basically, the two of them are born in the same year. One's in the spirit, one's here. Okay. My hand, it was so bad I could hardly walk from here to the door here. That's how bad it was. Okay. My hands were starting to curl in. Okay. And then I started to get, every time I started to meditate, I kept seeing the yin and yang sign. I kept seeing this male as well with me, okay? Didn't know, it was just like I could feel the energy, didn't know what it looked like or anything like that, didn't know who it was, or just could feel the presence. It's like whenever I was feeling really, really down. And it was different to the way that Yusuf felt with me when he was connecting with me. So all of a sudden, I heard something about something called Reiki. I've never heard of Reiki before. I looked it up. And every time that I meditated, I could see this monk, I could see this Buddhist monk sitting. And I'm thinking, why am I seeing that? And then it happened to be that my sister says to me, Debbie, there's this site, this spiritual site online. She says, I think you might enjoy it. They do healings and everything. I thought, well, it might be good, because I'm kind of incapacitated here. There's not much I can do because I was in so much pain. I had like one of those, the TENS machines they use for pregnancy to deal with the pain. I had one of them at home to deal with the pain because of my hands, my knees, my hips. I was in so much pain with it.
Wow.
So really, really terrible, terrible pain. And I was actually going for physio every week, swimming, to keep the joints moving as well. And they were just saying, what we just need to do as time goes on, replace hips, knees. That was what they told me. So I joined this group online, and I was introduced to this girl. I think her name was Ruth. Now this has gone back, as I say, to 2003. And she says to me, she then mentioned Reiki. I says, oh, that's funny. I says, I've been hearing this. She was a Reiki teacher. She taught Reiki. And I says, oh, she was doing a course. I said, could I do the course with you? Can I do it online? And she said, yeah. So we did it online. And then she set up this. So I did the first one online. I did the second one online. But what she did was, I was starting to feel better. And then I went to do, I think it was by the time I'd done my second one, they were doing a retreat, and she was coming. She said, so I'll do your like what they call the initiation thing for your second one. So I went along, and I was starting to get my mobility back, because you do this 3-week cleansing. It's like the whole inside of my mouth all broke out. So that was telling me that I hadn't been speaking the words. I hadn't let go of the pain. That's why my mouth had all broken out. I wasn't saying what I was, keeping everything in, the pain of losing the child. So started that, and I went along. I did the Reiki journey with her. By the time I got to the master level, I went in person to someone to do the master level. This was I'd done the first and the second one. By the time I did the second one, I had my hospital appointment. And by this stage, I was able to walk about. Like within a year and a half, my mobility had come back. And I went to the hospital because I wanted to see what was scientifically what was happening to me, not just spiritually, as in that I was starting to feel better, because I was practicing on myself every day. I was giving myself treatments every day. And also we were doing like practice sessions as well. So we're doing them online. I went to the doctor. Now, when I was first diagnosed, they says the bloods that come back, 45% of my blood showed rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, so that's why it was a higher risk. A year and a half later, I went back, and I wanted to, and he's like that. your mobility is, can you explain, what have you been doing? And I says, well, I do this form of a holistic therapy called Reiki. And he went, I've no idea what it is, he says, but I would say to you to keep doing it. Because he says to me, he touched my toes. I couldn't even bend before. And there was Debbie touching her. And he's like, this was my specialist. And he's like, and this was like, what have you been doing?
Yeah. Wow.
I got the bloods taken. And my doctor phoned me at home and said to me, I can't explain this. There is no explanation, but your bloods are clear.
Wow.
And the only thing that I'll have now is sometimes just maybe a wee bit stiff in my fingers in the morning. I go to the gym 3 times a week now.
Oh, that's incredible.
So this is when Eric joined me. This is when I started to know. Like I remember one time I was working on a client in Belfast here, and I'd gone to her house, and she had this, you went upstairs into like an attic, so she had her therapy bed on, in the middle of the floor, and there was a mirror just in front. So I'm busy just doing my thing, working away, and it's like I opened my eyes, and as I opened my eyes and I looked in the mirror, it wasn't Debbie that was looking back at me. And I freaked. I was like, I jumped. I really did. I jumped. What the heck? Because, like, as I said before, I'd always just seen everybody just as energy, and I was quite happy in my wee place. This is the first time physically I was like, oh my gosh. And I did freak a wee bit. So, going back to the that was after. So going back to the retreat, okay, that's when I first learned about trance. And trance is something I'll talk about in a later stage, but it'll help you understand what I'm going to explain to you about the guides, okay, and seeing them. My sister was going to a thing called Trance, and I was going to meet Ruth for the healing. So I was going to spend my weekend doing healing, doing my Reiki. And you was going to something called Trance. I'd never heard it before, right? As in, I know about being aware, but the word trance, we hear a lot about it now, and a lot of people may not know what it is. But this might help you understand it. So Ange was coming out and she was telling me, we're sitting at, we just like me, 2 sisters get together, we're sitting talking away. And she's saying, oh yeah, Deb, it's amazing. She says, like you're sitting there and people are changing in front of you. What do you mean changing in front of you? It's like you're just learning something. It's just, one minute you're seeing them as themselves and the next minute there's something else. She says, it's fascinating. And I was like that. And they were going back into work in the evening, whereas we had finished. And I was like that. Do you think I could be cheeky and ask him, can I come in? I thought, God loves a trier, you don't get it unless you try. So she says, I could ask him. So I still remember the guy's name. His name is Bill. So Bill was walking past and I said, excuse me, Bill, could I be a pain? I says, God, it sounds fascinating. Ange, tell me what you're doing. I says, look, we've got nothing to do. I says, is there any chance I could come in? I don't know where to get the courage for because it's not normally me. I says, you wouldn't even know I'm there. I'll just sit there. I'll be really quiet. You wouldn't even know I'm there. He's like, sure, Deb. No problem. Yeah, you're more than welcome. Happy days, yes. So we goes in. You have this cabinet sitting in front of you. This black cabinet, and you can see the front of it, and there's a chair in the cabinet, and you've got the wood at the side, and then you've got the back, so it's all covered in apart from the front. You have this chair in it. So one by one, these people sit in this cabinet, right? I swear to God, I was like, I couldn't keep my mind. You asked Lisa what I'm like. I'm just like, sometimes I forget I'm the tutor and I'm like, oh my God, can you see that? Oh my God, look. Now look, guys, tune into this. Tell me what you are seeing. I get so excited and this creates the energy. It builds the energy as well. Laughter as well. Unbelievable. So as I say, coming back to the story, I'm sitting and watching and I'm like, this girl's sitting with black hair, jet black hair, and she's sitting there. I can see this old Indian man. Well, she was sitting, and I'm like, can everybody see this? I could see the very feathers in the head, right?
Yeah.
I was like, it's not just me. And the next minute, Bill standing beside, Debbie, what are you seeing? I was like, do you not see him? And he's sitting hunched over like this old, wise chief. And he's like, yep, yep. So one by one, and I even got to sit in it myself, and I found it. I believe I was burned as a witch. I do believe I was burned as a witch because I'm terrified of fire. And it's like my mother, as a child, she used to put, then they put the like a, say like a spade in front of the fire, and they put the paper around it, and then to bring the air to bring the fire on. I used to scream when she used to do that. I was terrified. And they actually says that they could see me, they could see fire all around me as I sat. So I do. That's what my fear was, with the fire, and I do believe that's what happened there. But coming back to it, the last one, so the last girl that sat, I can't explain it, but it was like this blue light that I could see, and she changed into who I see as Eric, because I recognised him. I could see this man, and there was like this blue light I could see coming across, connecting with me, and I felt that instant connection. And I'm saying to Bill, can you see, please tell me you can see what I'm seeing here? I'm saying to him, do you see what I'm seeing here? And this is where I didn't realise, I didn't know what the blue energy is, because that was 10 years before I even started to use the blue energy. And blue energy is just a frequency. It's a frequency for healing. So it was being activated in me then.
Yeah,
the blue light was the activation. So I was meant to be there, but I wasn't meant to be there the whole class. I was only there that one time. And that was to spark the interest that would come 10 years later. 10 years later.
Yeah, I know. That's like 10 years.
And that's where the growth, that's where the growth. So that's when I started to be aware of Eric. And every time I sat, the healings were becoming stronger, and I could feel the energy of him. And that's where it came up to how I was introduced to my two guides. That was the first time he introduced himself to me. And then the thing was, I went to see, he has his hair comes down, but sometimes his hair's just straight across and then down. And I left there, and before I left, during the day, before I went to that trance thing, there was a spirit artist. Her name, I think, was Debbie Dean, and she does spirit guide pictures. And I used to always be aware. It was strange, even when I was younger, I was aware of another male and another energy that was working with me, but it was much more subtle, because Yusuf he's got such a big energy. As soon as he connects with me, I smell the earth. It's so strong. He's such a strong, and when he comes, Eric just comes in like a gentle breeze and just goes out like a gentle. Yusuf just comes and stands right in front of you, and then my arm goes sore, and I know that that's him there. That's his calling card. I get extremely painful arm, but because I'm under, I'm more aware of it when I'm coming out, but I know that, but he just comes right in front of you and takes charge. If he's got something to tell you, I'll tell you. That's it. The two completely different energies. But as I say, so I was always aware also of Eric, but probably in a lesser degree, because Yusuf was so strong. And when Eric started working with me, but this girl, she did the portrait. So she said, I got the pictures maybe say 2 or 3 weeks later, and when it opened up, it was just Eric. And that was before that one was taken. That one was taken only, I think I got that one 2 years ago. Yeah. And the other one was like, well, it'd be more. I was there whatever time. I think Lucy was only about maybe a year or two years old at the time. So that was like in 2005 or something, so 20 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, wow.
And so it sort of showed me then, he worked with me silently through my healings, through the Reiki and things like that. And that's kind of like the stage of the early years of how they introduced themselves to me because of the work that was coming, of the work that I do now. And that's where the journey to where we are now. And then moving forward, just giving you a wee bit more of how they then made sure I knew who they were. They left me with no doubt at all, because they've physically shown themselves to me. Not physically in front of me, but for everyone else to see them as well. And what a beautiful gift that they take the time to make sure and taught me how to tune in to be able to bring them through. So it wasn't just here we are. You, Debbie, you still have to work for it, just as my father used to say. You don't get nothing for nothing. You have to work. You have to work for it. You have to work with it. You have to tune into it, and you have to listen. And that's the biggest point. And all my students, I mean, I teach all over the world, and every student will tell you, there's two things that I'll say. You have to listen. You have to surrender. It's the only way through the breath.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where we are just now. You know, I mean, I'll leave it to you now, Michelle, as I say, if you want to go in and I can talk a wee bit more on the pictures that I've sent you.
Well, I'd love to share with the audience.
Oh, absolutely.
You've sent me some pictures, so I'm just going to pull them up on share screen now.
So the first picture you hear, this is my beautiful guy, Chief Joseph, and this is the one who showed himself to me when I was 4 years old. But you'll see him in many different stages. You'll see him the first time he introduced himself to me, he was a young warrior. But through the years, I've seen him in many different stages of his life. You can see here he's more middle-aged here, you know. So this is the first time, but this has been the guide that has been with me since I can remember, since I was a child, and I feel he is the main guide. He's also, I would feel, we call the gatekeepers. Yes, feel that this is the gatekeeper, and I have such a strong connection with him. There is such a strength that he brings through. He's like my protector. I feel such a strong sense of protection with him here. So as I said, the energy I could feel straight away when he comes through. When he connects with me in trance, and that's something that we'll maybe talk about at another time. I'll explain what I mean by that. But when he connects with me, I can feel the presence of him. I can feel the presence and the way that he delivers the message, whatever the way that he's coming through. So that's basically, and he's Chief Joseph, and if you look up, you can find the history of Chief Joseph, and it's quite fascinating of the things I found out myself. It helps me understand how I felt at different times when I've been working with him. But he's such a beautiful, very patient, but very, very strong-willed gentleman, and you can understand that if you read the story behind him. Yeah, so that's our first one. That's Chief Joseph.
Yeah. So this is a picture of a Native American Indian, and he's got a feather coming out of the top of his hair in the air. Yeah. So he's actually a chief, isn't he?
He's a chief, yes, Chief Joseph, and an amazing, story behind him. As I say, that it was quite fascinating when I read about him. I could understand a lot of what I was experiencing when I sat with him. As I sat with him. Now, this second picture here. This was amazing. I do a thing, as I say, an awareness of trance. Trance can be trance mediumship, it can be trance healing, trance writing. Healing is the foremost part of what I teach, or what I experience as a healer myself, a person that holds space. Now, in this picture that you're seeing here, I'm actually sitting in trance, and this is myself. And you can see from the pictures previously, you can see what I look like, so you can see how different it is within this picture here. And this is Chief Joseph as a slightly younger man. You can see, as I say, the nose, the high cheekbones on myself, the nose, if you look at that, the shape of the mouth. And you may ask what I'm doing here. He's actually doing a healing. He's actually doing a healing session here. This is what you see, the light at the side of the face. That's actually my hand. And he's performing a healing with his eyes open. Okay, so this was actually taken from a Zoom. I sit with many groups, and this group that I was sitting with is a group that I sit with for my own development. And I was sitting in trance this night, and as I say, Yusuf connected with me through trance, and I allow myself to surrender. So he's not taken over my body as such. It's the energy is connecting. So it's like the energy is blending when we think of frequency in terms of frequency and energy. Okay. The energy of my spirit and his spirit are blended together as one, so that then he can work through me, work through the energetic field, the auric field. So this is what you're seeing here.
Yeah.
And with that, he's performing, he's giving healing to the group. And as I said, you can see that the light at the hand is a completely different colour to the rest of the room. The rest of the room you can see more in red, and you can see the fact that the hand is completely encased in the light. So that is the energy that's been transmitted through this healing session, which was just fabulous. And to actually be able to capture this, you know, and when we played the replay back, everybody in the class was talking about it, but for me to be able to see it physically was just such a blessing. It really was. So that's just a wee explanation of what is happening in the picture in the red, which is, as I say, is myself. And, you know, if you actually look at it, you can actually see the feather at the side. You can see, if you look, you can see the thing that's at the side of the head. Look at the shape of the hair, and you can actually, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because the hair sits up high, so you can see how the hair's sitting up high at the top. Yeah. And then you've just got the feather at the side. Absolutely. Yeah. Which is, to me, it's more confirmation for me. And why is that important? Confirmation is because it strengthens the belief. And when you believe something, you will let go, you'll surrender. So that the connection's stronger, the healing's stronger, the space you hold is stronger.
Yeah. And can I just confirm you're actually sitting in a red light here with a red light on?
Yes, yeah.
So what's the purpose of the red light? People might be going, why would you sit in a red light?
So what happens with me, I've been experimenting with colours, so I've been experimenting with blue and with greens and reds. So I find that red is really good for grounding us. So we don't think in terms of a colour, we think in terms of the frequency, as in that the red will hold us, will ground us. So if we're grounded, then that they can work closer with us. Because what happens, but what do we mean when we say we're grounded? When we're grounded, we can let go of the physical body. So if you think about that, you take the breath in, you breathe out, we let go. We then tend to forget about the physical body. The physical body becomes heavy. So we expand into the awareness more. We allow the mind to become more focused. And with that we expand then into the awareness, so that we can hold the space then, as we say, you know, for this. So I would use red in this sense because he has such a strong energy that I'm guided. I don't just pick a colour at random. I'm guided to what I feel. So intuitively, he's telling me we're using red tonight. Just as the same, I use music a lot in my healings, and I'm guided through the vibration of the music, of what music to use. And this comes through, you know, with whatever work that I'm doing. I have to tune into the spirit and listen to the spirit, to what they need to help them work with me.
Yeah.
Thinking in terms of frequency. So colours are depicted through awareness.
Yeah.
So this one here, wow. Now, I'm going to explain just a wee bit about this picture because it still blows my mind. On the 3rd of January, 2 years ago, I was sitting, there's a room next door, sitting in the room next door. And I was guided to come and sit with spirit. So I came and I sat, and I'm in the dark here, apart from a blue light just at the side of my face. And over the next 30 minutes. I watched as I sat, and I was aware of different things happening, but I was blown away when I watched the replay back because I decided to tape it as well. And what you're seeing here, this light, there was no light in the room. The room's complete darkness.
So we're looking at this light here?
Yeah. And what happened in this recording, and it's something that we may look at in the future of maybe actually showing this recording. But a few things I want to show you here, which is just fascinating. And I'm looking at it and it still blows me away when I'm looking and I can see what's happening here. But it's like this whole room lit up. We're in the dark and the whole room lit up, and it started because you can see the light. But I want to bring your attention to something else also. You can see the eye is open. My eyes are closed. My eyes are completely closed.
Yeah.
Look at the eye. Yeah, the eyes are open. You can really see it in the light side as well, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
And what's happening is in the pink part, that's Yusuf. The energy of Yusuf comes right across my face. But on the other side, we've got Eric. So we've got two different energies connecting to hold me in the space as they work with me. Now, that's me that's sitting there. That is me that's sitting there. And you can also see the energy. If you look at the neck area as well, okay? This is something that is what I've been working on, I would say, for the past 6 years, to understand how spirit are working with us, to blend with us to such a degree as they are now, and how they are working with the vibration of the energies of the Zooms. So we're on almost like the beginning stages of what is possible now through the way that they work with us. You know, we have two energies connecting here. As you see, you can look at that and it looks nothing like me, but yet the whole tent lit up. I'm sitting in a tent there to really concentrate the energy. The whole tent lit up. And he begins to speak as well, which we can discuss at another stage and let you understand more about that. But this is the energy. There's energy pouring from my mouth. You can see the streaks, lighter streaks. That's energy that's being condensed to hold the energy so they can work with us. It's a fascinating subject, absolutely fascinating subject. But this is what this is. We have got two beautiful spirits that have been with me from I can remember, working with me. And you see this beautiful guide, Joseph, in the other picture beside us, and you can see him there in the picture in the pink, which is just fascinating.
So people might be wondering, when this was happening, did you feel the two merging together on either side? Like, was there a pressure? Did you know, like, how did that affect you physically?
What happens is, because I've been sitting for so long, I'm very subdued. So it's not that I'm aware, there's this happening, that I'm very subdued, I'm very held. And it's almost just like I'm sitting watching what's happening with behind the scenes. Something that we need to talk maybe in a later stage, because it's very in depth, because it's how we go from me, you and me sitting talking in this awareness, which is a completely different brainwave, to going down to this extent here and being deeper than the alpha state. So there's something. There's what happens is you're aware, first of all, of the letting go of the physical body, as in the surrendering, allowing the body to become heavy, and then start to feel the connections. Each energy point becomes activated. The energy starts to move. You're building this power that sustains you, which makes me be able to sit like this. But there wasn't just two here. At the end, my face completely changes and a lady comes in and you see her as clear as day. And that's something that we could maybe look at another stage of maybe actually playing this video, and I can explain the whole process. And this is why anybody that's looking at going into trance or doing trance work, you need to get the basics right. Forget about talking in trance or whatever it is. You need to get the basics right to understand the process so that spirit can work with you.
Yeah.
You know. And this
Yeah.
is another one. This one here. Wow. I came and I sat. This picture here, there is also another picture that was taken within 5 minutes before, and it's a completely different face. This is Yusuf here, that you can see the native guide, the pictures here. But my friend is a friend in America. Her brother had passed away. And the picture that you see before that is her brother with their eyes open. We were showing this picture today because we're showing you the history of the two guides through my early life to where I am now.
Yeah.
But on another date, I will show you the picture of my friend's brother. And like literally, I sent the picture. I'd seen her brother once, and I says, I need to send this to you. And she was in tears because she says, Deb, I knew who he was right away. So we went from that picture to this one. So it was showing me that it was Yusuf that was working with me at that time to hold the energy to bring this other gentleman through.
Wow.
Which was just fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. It blew your mind. You can actually see the skin colour of him there.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
You know, because they will work with whatever we give them. So the work that we do enables them to work with us. To think about that, the work that we do enables them to work with us.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening here. So you can see part of it's pixelated at the bottom half, especially, but because of the energy that was used to show the brother.
Yeah.
But he was showing me, it's me that's with you. You know.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. It really is. It's unbelievable. And this one here, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I need to look up in this top corner because that is Yusuf. I mean, that is just... Now, so what's happening here? So I'm sitting for trance. I'm out. I'm out of it. I'm recording this. I'm just sitting myself here. This was actually a healing I was doing for a client. This is what this was. I was doing a healing for a client and recorded was recording it. And then after it, I took the Zoom recording and I sat with the Zoom recording. And then I was away to tell you, which is amazing, where you see him, the native guide here, okay, that's actually from a picture that's on my wall. So if you look at my wall, you will see this is where this image came from. My daughter drew this. It's a wall art. She drew this during COVID, and she's very gifted spiritually as well. And she draws, but when she draws, you can see the spirit coming through. We've got many, many pictures of loved ones and spirit in this wall at the side of me here. So as I was actually going through the video, I was drawing at certain times. There was something that would ignite within me that was telling me to stop. So as I stopped, I started taking pictures of this recording. And as I started, I could see I was tuning into the changes in the vibration, what I was seeing, until the picture that I took showed him completely as you see him now.
Yeah.
And when you look at the first picture that Michelle showed you, you can see that it's exact replica of...
I think when we go into the next one, I've got them side by side.
Yeah, absolutely. So look at the profile, look at the nose, look at the way the mouth is, the cheeks, it's just...
incredible.
It's amazing. There's no dispute, and for them to take the time to show themselves. But this wasn't, oh, he's there. I had to work to bring him forward because he was showing me, look, this is me building the energy. So what I'm bringing forward, so as I sit and tune in and allow myself to expand, he connects to that expansion. And then listening to the words and the feelings that I'm getting. Right, stop now, take the picture, take the picture, take the picture. In each stage of the pictures, you can actually see that the image is becoming clearer and clearer till we have what we have here now. But that didn't come about if I didn't do the work to find it,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
tune into it, to know when to take the picture. So this is what I mean by the work that we do. We have to put in the effort to be able to be rewarded. For you think of what they must do, think what he must have had to do to show himself.
Oh,
Think about
absolutely.
that, you
Yeah.
know.
It's
And it's just,
incredible.
it's just, it blows my mind, it really does. This
Yeah.
one here, oh my gosh. Now, this is me sitting in the dark with the blue light. So the blue light you can see in my face, on that one side of my face. And when I took this, I watched the recordings. The same again, all of a sudden, I was guided to take snaps. I took 10 snaps. And when I looked at the snaps, the background was red. But there's no red in the pictures. I had no red light at all, okay? So what I did, so I'll look at it here. So this red, there's no red. I had no red light on. I just had this blue light on. That's all. And it was in the dark. So as I lightened the pictures, this is what I seen. And when I looked closely, this was Eric in the background. This is my healing guide. This is the guide that works. So in the red, the face within the red, that's my healing guide. Now, what I want you to do is, if we can take it back to the previous picture, Michelle, I want to just explain something, if we can. Now, what I want you to see is the face is out of alignment with my face.
Yes.
So look at it. Look at it. It's completely out of alignment. The nose is well above my nose, the eyes.
Yep.
And look where the mouth is, okay?
Yeah.
It's above, it's almost level with the bottom of my nose. So this is where I feel I was just blown away, because he was showing me, yes, I'm here, and he's blended with me. So it's like half of him and half of me, you know, and that's a perfect blend. And what I feel with this is there's total serenity, there's total surrender. It's not he's taken over me. No. It's just the perfect blend between spirit and self.
Yeah.
And this is what he's showing me. But it's the same again. I had to work to be able to see it. And I could see the image, but when I brought it up, what I did is I lightened it. And with lightening it, I was able to see him as clear as anything.
Yeah.
So this is what these pictures.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, even just, gosh.
Yeah. It's the power. It's the power that, you know, I mean, like, and you asked me how did I feel like this when this was happening. Just total surrender, total peace. And you can see that in my face. You can see that in my face.
Yeah.
You know. But this is where I think we are just, and we're just discovering the way the spirit are working with us. And we're actually at the moment, one of the things, and we can talk about that as a later date, a thing that I'm working on at the moment is working on, we have actually got spirit speaking to us, physically speaking to us through music.
I love that.
That's what we're working on just now. And I just feel we have no idea of what we're capable of. No idea. But as soon as we become, you know, we stop ourselves through fear. We stop ourselves through the experience of what is physical, of what we are actually capable of. So this here is just, I was just completely and utterly blown away with that. And this is what I mean by being blessed to be able to understand how to work with spirit so as that we can then bring this. So why is this important, this picture here? Okay, because you could have someone there that have those most beautiful gifts within them. And hopefully seeing this will help them believe what they're capable of who they are, or capable of knowing who they are.
And just to
know.
reiterate, you had a blue light on, yet this is all red in the background.
There's no red light at all. Yep.
All red.
It's complete darkness, and all there was the blue light.
Yeah.
That's all there was. There was no red at all.
Yeah. So for those that are listening, Debbie's face is half blue, and then you've got this red coming over it's consumed half of your face, basically, hasn't it? And all around you is red, but you had a blue light on in the room. Just incredible.
Yeah. But the main point about this, and this is what fascinates me, is the face isn't even to mine. It's not as if, all right, you look at Debbie, there's half that face here and then there's half the face. The other side of her face, it looks as if there could be someone. The face is out of alignment with mine's. Is completely out of alignment, which makes it more so. That's the point I want to bring across. You need to look at the alignment of the face here. And it's completely out of alignment. And you see it more, as I say, we're showing this one because we're showing you the red. So coming back to there was Spirit bringing in the colour that I didn't even need to use. They brought the colour. So incredible. The communication, was the blue. They needed So remember when we talked about the story about giving the blue colour when I've seen the first trance demonstration, and the blue light that I explained, so you can understand why I'm in the blue and why the blue colour was really important to me at that time. As soon as I started in my work, I would have sat a lot of time in blue because this is what I was drawn to. And I've seen me actually, honestly, I remember I also sit for physical mediumship now as well. I have been doing that for about 5 years with a group of friends for my own development. And what I'd noticed, they used to laugh at me because I would put on a colour. I have a colour here it's a bulb that's got different colours. Spirit would change the colour. No matter what colour I put on, Spirit would. And they used to say, Debbie, what colour have you got today? I says, well, and I actually had to bring the lamp over and show them physically. This is the colour I've got. Okay, well, that's what you think, Debbie. And I used to just, and one time I put the light on, they switched it off and they turned it back onto a different colour.
Wow. So,
I just say, right, okay, well, we'll use this colour today, but we'll see what Spirit say.
Yeah, that's it. They'll decide on that. Thanks for coming.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's just that's incredible. These are the amazing things that I call them the wow factors that can happen when you work with Spirit, because people see, it's movies and horror stories and ghost stories that portray all of this sort of thing as, it's evil and it's possession and it's just not.
No. And if you're working in the light, you've nothing to fear. Remember, it's your fear that creates the reality of how you see things. Yeah. Okay. So I just see it as healing. Everything that I do comes back to healing, no matter what it is, no matter whether. Another story as well, sitting for physical. We've done healings of massive field soldiers' battles. And they've physically shown me that. They've shown me it. Everything comes back to healing. If you're working from your heart, and you're facing the demons, as in the demons are our fears. Yeah. We make your mind is so powerful in the sense, but when we see something like that and you see the reality of working for we call the greater good, and it's not this fluffy stuff. What we're doing is, it's not the fluffy stuff. It's not, it's really taking ownership of yourself. Yeah. Taking ownership of yourself and working with yourself, so is that what we are working with, the vessel of what we're working with, is much more grounded, is much more compassionate, more loving, not judgmental, that you can then hold the space. And Spirit are stepping in to help us with this. They're helping us with humanity. But as I'm sitting here speaking, I'm hoping that will connect with people and they will then see themselves in a different light,
And
You're not your past, you're not your present, you're not your future, you are your now.
Exactly. That's it. Exactly. So you teach, can you explain a little bit? So you teach students to, yep, go on.
I teach trance. Another thing as well, everything is orchestrated for you. Right, everything is meant to be as it is, even if you don't think, what do you mean by that? How can that be? It is, it just is. And what I mean by that is, I never seen myself as teaching, but here I am, spreading this word, okay? So I followed my path, which led me here. So I remember someone saying to me before we went into lockdown about a year before, Debbie, this was in the church, and one of the guys came, Debbie, would you run a transfer, or would you run a trance group, from home in reality? I was thinking about it. Yeah, okay then. And he brought me all these people. Okay, so we started and we ran it for a year. And then we went into lockdown and they says, can you carry it online? So we used to do 40 minutes on Zoom and then the rest of the time on Skype for the feedback, right? Because you only need the 40 minutes. I then was introduced through him to Julie, a lady I work a lot with now, who's in America. She also teaches. So basically what happened was, through being in her, I used to just go to a blending circle, what we call a blending circle, and then people from that I was talking to different people, and then they says, oh, do you do one-to-ones, Debbie? Because you do one-to-ones. So I worked with this one lady in America for about 6 months. We got communication physically. That's where the music, which another day I'll talk to you about, of how we work with music, and spirit spoke to us. And I have the piece in my book of what they said to us, and I've kept that, and that's my mantra of what they said then. It keeps me spurred on and moving now, okay? So from that, a lot of people started speaking to me. I started getting more friend requests, people asking me. So I says, well, look, what if I do a beginners group? And then all of a sudden I sat with Spirit and they gave me the name of the group. And the group was Discovering the Unfoldment of Trance. And at a later stage, I put in healing. I put the unfoldment of trance, discovering self, the unfoldment, the awareness of trance, of self, and healing. Yeah. So that's how I started. So I started two classes, two beginners classes, on a Sunday night and a Wednesday night. And I took people through the basics of learning the breath work, of learning how to blend with sound frequencies, which helps you let go. Okay. I helped people to know what grounding means. We talk about grounding, but what is grounding? So I took everything back to basics and taught everybody what I was taught from my father, and then the experience of both my guides. And then we are now where we are. Yeah. So I now teach. Well, I have the two. Those classes now have turned into open circles, so anybody can come along to the open circles. They're on a Monday night and a Wednesday night. Wednesday night 7:00 UK time, and the Sunday night is 8 p.m. UK time. And then I started courses. I'm running courses. It just keeps running and running and running.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. So you do beginner courses for anyone who might be listening to this thinking, oh, I want to explore this further. You do beginner courses?
Well, at the moment, the courses that I'm doing, they're kind of like intermediate to advanced. But if there is enough interest, then I can possibly look at doing another beginners if there's enough interest. But because at the moment I do the classes, I do the courses that I'm running, but they consecutively run for 12 weeks. I set a course up for 12 weeks and we're still going 3 years later.
That's just a long 12 weeks.
Yeah. You'll laugh. You ask Lisa, as I say, our course is still going. So I have the courses I run are on a Sunday morning at 11:00, Tuesday morning at 11:00, Friday at 12:30. And then I've just started an 8-week healing course that took me nearly 10 years to write.
Oh, wow.
And running, it's an 8-week course. So we're actually on week 7, and it's been rebooked for the beginners on that one. So that's booked out as well. And then the ones that's on the healing course just now, they want me to do an extension. So I thought we'll leave that to about August. So yeah, there is a lot, but if anybody's interested, they can actually contact me through Messenger, and I can keep their names so that whenever anything comes up, if there's enough interest, then yes, we can look at it that way as well.
Yeah.
And I also run a free healing circle on a Wednesday night. It's beautiful. It's completely free. Anybody that wants to connect with me, they're best coming through if they look up Discovering the Unfoldment of Trance and Healing. That is my physical group. And if they come into that, every Wednesday I put the post up, the Zoom link. It's the same Zoom link every week. And the healing is beautiful. We have people coming that's been coming for years to the healing, and it's just beautiful just to come and sit in the energy and receive healing and also send healing yourself. And that's completely free. So yes, very busy. And then I do lots. Well, at the moment, all my one-to-ones are fully booked. I do quite a few one-to-ones as well.
Wow,
and they're fully booked. Very busy. It's just been beautiful because the growth has been over time. Because I also work. I have my day job. I work during the day as well. So in the afternoon, I work. Well, at the moment, I'm working 4 afternoons. I childmind, so I have wee kiddies with me all the time. Yeah. So I pick up the kids from school. But come September, I'm giving up the Thursday, so I'm only going to be doing 3 afternoons. Because as I say, the kids are getting older now anyway. They're all in primary school, and it's just to try and get them through as much as I can through primary school, because some of them have been with me since they were babies. Yeah. So I'm like Auntie Debbie. I'm not just a child. I'm like Auntie Debbie.
Yeah. So, well, what I'll do is I will put all of the information in the description. Yeah. So people the links, so people can just click on that, find you, contact you, and your groups and your Facebook page, so that people can contact you and make any inquiries they want to, or join the groups that you have available. Yeah. And that way, we want to make it as easy as possible to, for people to reach you and have these amazing experiences and, for their own unfolding
growth.
Itself. Yeah, exactly.
Growth is beautiful. It's just beautiful. Yeah. No, definitely. As I said, we started off, it's like how many people? 10 people, and like now we're connecting all over the world. And what I love more than anything is to see the growth in my students. I love to see them getting on, and I have no restrictions on my students. It's like, a lot of people would say, if you come with me, you can't go to somebody else. No. This is your class, not my class. This is for your growth, not my growth. My growth comes through my students. That's where my growth comes from, my students.
Yeah, I love that. I love the no ego, because you see it a lot, in spiritual, with teachers and other spiritual people. And I just, so unnecessary. And I just love that you're purely yourself. What you see is what you get, and I absolutely love that. So thank you so much, Debbie, for being on the show and sharing your journey and the amazing, what I call wow factors of your life. The amazing, steps that you've taken and how your journey's unfolded to where you are now. It's incredible. And now you're teaching others, which is even better, giving back to the world. That's, I love that. So thank you so much, Debbie, and I look forward to having you back on the show very soon.
And I look forward to seeing you then.
To view the show notes, head over to themediumstable.com.au. If you want to watch these episodes, head over to our YouTube channel, The Medium's Table Podcast.